What is up, Mr. Bare Naked Willie? How are you today, my friend?
Happy Canada Day, Dave. Happy Canada Day.
I had no idea Canada Day was starting right before the 4th of July here in the United States. So that's like two really cool celebrations back to back. We should go to Canada, drink a ton of beer in Canada, and then come back to the States and drink a ton more here.
Yeah, get yourself some good maple syrup, right? And enjoy a Friday over the barbecue with friends and loved ones.
I love it. I love it. All right, Mark, where are you at these days, my friend?
Oh, we're getting back from traveling and gearing up from traveling, Dave. It's great to have a holiday weekend, but the work's not going to stop.
No, it's definitely not going to stop. I mean, we've been traveling from coast to coast around the world, having a lot of fun, bringing everybody, building science and building it better. And that's what we do on this show day in and day out. Mark, where are we live? Where, Mark?
So this is what's great, right? Everyone uses different platforms. So there's people watching on Facebook, Twitter.
Get your tweets on.
Yep. And Greg Ugalde brought us into to Twitch.
That's where the young folks are.
And all of our friends on LinkedIn are having fun. And this show and like 112 other shows and like 2,000 of Dave Cooper live shows are on the YouTube channel.
That's it. And the YouTube channel and Facebook as well, man. We're all over the place these days. And Mark, I don't know if I told you, I've been saying it a lot, but can you believe that we have 5,000 hours of our show watched every 28 days? 5,000 hours. That's a lot of Dave Cooper Live and Mark Bare Naked Willie, huh?
I remember when you and Jennifer were a full 6 days a week. And that was an endeavor. And all that content is still being watched, which is so cool. And now you're mostly 4 times a week, but then there's these special events where I don't even know you're going to be live, and you're live. And all of a sudden you're in London.
Yeah. We got some more travel coming up. London, possibly Ireland, Switzerland. So it's all about how do we deliver unedited, real conversation about what's happening in the housing market and the built environment. And today's show is no different.
Today's show, Dave.
Messana. I love it. Hydronic technology. Now, Mark, they're not thinking about it the same way as we think about hydronic, traditionally speaking. This is a whole new concept that I think is going to really shake things up.
I got a chance to meet these guys, and then life happens, and I got a chance to meet them again, and I think the audience is gonna go nuts over the solutions they offer, and we have a couple team members.
Yeah.
Right, that are coming in. So I'm ready when you are, brother.
Well, let's bring them in and let's start this conversation. So if you're out there listening to this, make sure that you like and share this right now so we can bring more people into the conversation. And if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you're wrong. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. All right, where shall we start? Let's start off with Alessandro. Hey, Alessandro, how are you, my friend? Welcome to the BS Friday show.
Thank you very much. I'm good. Happy to be here, and thanks for the nice presentation of the company and the technology. Yeah, we are thrilled to explain you more about what we do.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, but we also have your marketing guy with us, and we have an installer with us. So we can't have a show unless we're talking about every point of contact that a company needs to make. And that's everything from you being a co-founder, coming up with this idea, the technology, bringing it to market with Saul, who we're going to have, but then bringing it to market's only half the battle. You got to find somebody that knows how to use it, install it, and train people and take it to the next level and service it and all that other fun stuff. So let's go ahead. Let's bring in Sal in the marketing department. And let's also bring in Ryan, who is the master installer, the master of disaster, but not in this world. So Ryan, Sal, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right, Mark, I mean, so I don't even know where to start off. We're going to have a presentation. You guys are going to be able to see what this is. But Alessandro, why don't you start us off with, what is this concept? And, really, we want to know, what problem are you solving with this?
Okay, yeah. So let's say that we started as a pioneer of this technology that has been known for decades, which is radiant cooling. And so it's a technology that was also used here in the US probably 20, 30 years ago. It never succeeded. But then in Europe, they made it work. And I would like to start by saying, what is radiant cooling? Because it sounds like different, and we are used to talk about radiant heating. And so, what is radiant cooling? There is a slide. Can you just show it very quick? And yeah, so in this slide, we have a thermal camera that is showing a ceiling. This is the ceiling of my office. And you can see there are some blue spots in the area showing in the thermal image. So the thermal image is basically measuring the temperature of the surface. In this case, the camera is pointing to the ceiling. And you see those blue spots. The blue spot is cooler surfaces. So if I have to give you like a very easy definition of what radiant cooling is the blue. Okay, radiant cooling, it's a cold surface. Now, when we talk about radiant cooling, there is not like a physical definition. I mean, we understand radiant heat. Heat, it's thermal energy. There is no such a radiant cooling as a physic entity. So what it is then? Basically, to understand what radiant cooling is, we need to understand what radiant heat is. And heat is thermal energy, and we all know that, and this is the second law of thermodynamics that says that heat flows from a warmer body to a cooler body. So every time there is a differential in temperature, there is some heat flowing from one object to the other. So the way that I like to define radiant cooling as a physics, I would say is negative heat. So it's basically, if you have a cold surface and a heat surface, then there will be heat leaving from the higher temperature to surface to the cooler. So if you manage to cool down the ceiling above your head, and let's say you put your ceiling at a temperature around 60, 55 degrees, and your body temperature is in the 19 degrees, then there will be thermal energy, heat, leaving your body and being radiated toward the ceiling. And so this is how thermal radiant cooling works. Basically, it's extraction of heat, which is not much different than what happened in a refrigerator. I mean, in a refrigerator, we cool down the surface, and then your food inside goes in and it's 70 degrees, and then it will release all the energy. So it is radiant heat. It's the food that is heating the fridge, but then there is a heat pump, there is a refrigerant technology that will keep on cooling down. Same thing for radiant cooling. You will have some panel, and can be, I say the ceiling because we invented this technology that goes on drywall, but you can do it everywhere. I mean, radiant doesn't care if it's from top, bottom, doesn't have any gravity concern. As you think about that, the sun is our head, so the radiation radiates down. So in the ceiling you can do heating, cooling. So it's all good. It's just electromagnetic waves. Okay. So when you do a radiant cooling system, basically you are extracting heat from every single object, from the floor, from the furniture, for the body, and the whole room will equalize to a lower temperature. And basically it's a good way to have a very uniform temperature in the room. We got asked so many times, like when we do heating on the ceiling with our technology, yeah, but I don't want to have the floor cold. Hell no, the floor is going to be hot because you are radiating on the floor. So
right.
It's just exchange of energy by creating differential of temperature.
It is just genius. And, you know, like on a simple play on words, it's cool.
It's cool.
Right?
Very cool.
Like for
radiant.
People, yeah. Like, so, you know, many people know in all styles of homes that typically in a bathroom outside of a shower, there might be a hydronic there that's done for warming, right? Wonderful. Well, at the end of the day, my simple brain says that you, me, her, and everyone else are these furnaces walking around, right? We're just full of heat. And now you just have this quiet thing, if you will, delivering cool. I don't care what it is. I'm just happy that it's quiet and it's doing it without me noticing it. And then like my techie brain says that thermal imaging camera shows me what I'm already experiencing, what I'm already feeling, but it's not this goofy box in the window.
Our body has thermal receptors. So what we perceive is what we see with the thermal camera. So
yeah,
it's called operative temperature. So it's not the temperature of the air that the body perceives, but it's the radiation. So
walk us through, you know, the benefits, the feature. Like I know you're going to do it in the slides, but you know, what is the benefit? So the technology is really cool. I get all of that. But if I'm a homeowner, I'm an installer like Ryan or an MEP specialist, what is I want to know the benefit. Why do something different than the conventional way of doing it? You know, so
I mean, to answer this question, I'll take it very personal because this is how this all started. Like about 11, 12 years ago, I was considering to do a major remodeling on my house, and I used to have like a traditional furnace, you know, blowing air from the bottom, which I hated. And I mean, it's a lot of dust, and in the morning, the fan is starting. And so I started to look into radiant. So noise for sure, and being invisible is by definition, you know, the best feature of a radiant system in general.
Totally.
But then I actually did a little bit more of research, and I met this fellow in Italy. His name is Messana Roberto, who happened to be an expert in this technology. And so I decided to go and pay a visit. And he was doing in Italy a radiant system on the ceiling with a gypsum. So it was like a sandwich with the gypsum embedded. And I don't know how much you guys know about construction in Italy in general and in Europe. We don't understand drywall. We don't use drywall much, you know? And that's what I told you. Hey, dude, a radiant panel, a gypsum panel, you have a technology for the US market.
Yep.
And so I decided to try it. And then obviously, you know, it's centimeter, it's watt instead of BTU. It was also messed up. So the way that we do construction here is so different than the way they do it there. And so let me tell you this, the product was not compatible to our way of build houses here. but that was the challenge. And I have an engineering background, and I like challenges. And so then we started to make changes. And so originally this technology came with a sandwich panel with the gypsum attached. Then we decided that it was a little bit too complicated here in the US to have the same trade, and Ryan can tell us more, that will do the plumbing and the drywall. So here in the US, it's plumbing and then hanger. So you don't want to mix two trades. So eventually we decided to rip the gypsum off. And so the panel, we call it naked. It's just because, on this panel, there used to be a drywall attached on top. But then we created a naked version, which is without the gypsum. And so now we use this panel on the ceiling, and then the drywall guy will go and put the drywall on top. So we needed to break it down. But that was actually a good solution because easier for logistics.
Right.
The territory here is huge. Bringing drywall from the west to the east, it was kind of an nightmare. And then we needed to develop some other fitting technology, packs. And so, I'm part of a patent that was on the fitting to make it easier to install here in the US. But going back to the original question, the benefit of this technology, it's silent. There is no air movement. Heat will be very uniform. It's the most efficient way to transfer heat and moving heat. When I say heat, it's both heating and cooling negative heat.
Yep.
Okay, so just call it heat transfer.
Yep.
And basically, that will allow energy efficiency. And because you are using water, yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
So if I understand you right, I no longer need a air conditioning system. I no longer need a heating system because this does both. This is going to cool my house and heat my house, one system, and it doesn't require all the different trades to install it and put it together. Is that spot on?
Yes, we're just missing one part. Yeah. You need the fresh air. You need to treat the air. Okay, so which doesn't mean that you need to condition the air. You just need the right air to breathe. So ventilation. So typically a very crucial part of a radiant heating and cooling system, it will be to have like a air treatment system. We have some hydronic unit that we
would add like an ERV or an HRV that delivers air to the space, right? An air-to-air exchanger.
Yeah, and this HRV, so we got an HRV concept and we extended that technology to a unit that not only does heat recovery, but also condition the humidity of the air before it's breathed. Yes, it's we call it ATU, air treatment unit. So it does both ventilation and control the humidity.
I didn't even know about that product. An ATU.
Yeah, we invented that name. So.
Well, here you go. I'm learning again.
It doesn't exist, so you need to be creative. Yeah, so it's it's a unit that has a coil. Could actually also have a refrigerant system, and so it will exchange heat. There is a core like either a HRV or ERV core. And then there will be a coil to cool the air and extract the humidity. Because let me tell you this, what is the biggest enemy of a radiant cooling system? And it's condensation. And so this is what many years ago when people tried to do radiant cooling, they were afraid because you guys all like a cold beer, right?
Yeah.
And so when you grab the cold beer out of the refrigerator and you put it on your table, you see all this condensation coming down. It's kind of cool. We like that feeling, right?
Yeah.
But you don't like that on your ceiling, right? So the key is that you cannot bring the temperature of the ceiling below what is called the dew point. Okay, so the dew point is that temperature that if you go lower than that temperature, you start to condensate. Okay, so you don't want to go below that. So
And
now
your controls take care of all that.
that's correct. And so
There it is.
we have a sensor that will measure the dew point, and then we will make sure that the surface temperature on the ceiling will never go below the dew point. However, if the dew point is too high, then you need to extract humidity and lower it. So
Sure.
and humidity is heat. So basically, you are cooling in two different ways by lowering temperature and extracting humidity.
That's
Well,
how you
we're-
feel the
Yeah.
difference right there. You're using science and controls, so we are comfortable.
That's it.
Correct.
So
Love it.
let's get into the presentation here. Sal, I think you're going to do the presentation, and Alessandro, you're going to work the slides, and then we're going to wrap up with Ryan's work and what Ryan's doing, and we can understand from his job what it is to actually install the system, how to install it, what are the, are there headaches? Is it brilliant? We're going to hear it straight from the guy that's installing it in the system. We are almost at 1:28, so we got a lot more to get through. So let's do it. Sound good?
Perfect.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've already covered quite a bit. You got a nice general overview of our system. So we do consider ourselves the experts in hydronics and radiant cooling technology. We've been working at it for a long time at this point. And then, so the product that we're known for, of course, is the panels. But we also have our controls that can manage our panels as well as your radiant floor, your fan coils, some VRF systems. And so we've really created this comprehensive climate control system that can be used for both commercial and residential projects. And then lastly, as Alessandro had mentioned, we have our air treatment units, which do, mechanical ventilation, HRV, and then neutral temperature dehumidification to lower that dew point by a bit, to make sure that we can provide some nice cooling output and increase the output of our panels in terms of cooling. But yeah, wow. And then so what Alessandro has just shown right now is what you see on the left side of your screen is our NK panel, the naked panel that Alessandro talked about. Typically they come in the 2x8 version, and so you use the 2x8 version to take up as much space as you can, and then where there's space left over, if you still need to meet heating and cooling loads, you could throw in our new 2x4 version. And then on the right side, you'll see our commercial options, which are designed for like T-bar tile systems. And so a lot of commercial buildings use that. And then there's also some like hanging island versions as well that are completely metal. And they're really great. And then the nice exploded view. Oh, and here's the installation. And so they're mounted in between ceiling joists or furring channels, spaced 24 on center. So if your ceiling joists are not already 24, you could throw up some metal or wood furring channels.
I love the idea of the furring channels because then we can take care of our strategies, right, for whatever we're doing for the building envelope itself. And then this becomes the raceway for your system and whatever low voltage electric that's going along with it. It's a dream. In the world of efficiency, if we know the optimum way to put things in, then just allocate the height of the space, and this is taking up no room at all. So
it's
allow
1.5
the
inch
installers to have the precision they need.
So it's it's 1.5 inch difference from a traditional ceiling.
Yeah,
that's nothing.
Which right now with like typically a 9 or 12 foot ceiling, you would never notice. And you have an additional EPS layer, which is a good sound insulation. So
totally.
Great.
Hey, Ryan, when you're popping these things in, so right now, if we just use this image in front of us as the visual, and there's no other insulation in the room, there's no other rock up, right? It's just the system. Do you already note the sound difference at all, even before the rock is in? I bet you would.
You're muted, Ryan.
Ryan.
You gotta hit your.
He's muted.
There you go.
There you
go. Yeah, I mean, we've never really done any testing on, the sound or the sound aspect of what the panel provides. Typically you would cover, generally speaking, about 60 to 70% of your ceiling area with these panels. So it definitely does deaden the sound. I mean, I know that 1.5 EPS foam provides like an R10 value, so that kind of gives you an idea of what it provides for sound. But typically they're factoring that in before these panels are even typically spec'd out, so they're already factoring that in and making those adjustments prior, adding it to the insulation R value, prior to any of these panels going up. So it's just kind of like a plus.
I never thought of the EPS before, but we've all been in homes where the joist space is not insulated, and then you obviously hear the walkings and talkings in the room above you, and it's just an additional attribute
Right.
to have some sound control there in this
Sometimes on
system.
multifamily installation, we have done we've mounted the fueling channels on springs, and so this will completely decouple the whole radiant ceiling from the floor, and that actually is a very efficient way to insulate in between floors.
I think about sound all the time, and here's a magnificent thing about your system is so many homes these days are really well air sealed and really well insulated. So what we notice is the homes themselves are extremely quiet. Because of that, when your refrigerator goes on or your traditional AC system goes on, you go like this, right? You cringe because you're no longer relaxed because that noise is there. And now you're delivering the cooling without delivering that terrible, awful window unit noise or big appliance noise. Wonderful.
Yeah. You know what, Mark? And I will tell you, this could be the greatest thing since sliced bread for the offsite industry. And here's why. Mechanicals, MEPs for modular, volumetric, panel wall systems. I see Jerry out there, Jerry Mahahi, out in the audience. I am telling you now, if you do away with chases, this solves a whole lot of design issues in the modular volumetric space, residential and commercial. And my guess is, Jerry McCahey, if you're out there, this could make doing panelized systems with MEPs built in that much easier. My guess. Anyhow. So, all right, let's keep going. We got about 13 minutes left.
Jerry happens to be in California as well, folks. So good show and tell road trip for y'all.
Yeah. Good Irishman.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. So we're looking at the installation.
Yeah. So Ryan, do you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about, typical installation?
Yeah. I mean, you guys did mention prior that, because we are dropping the ceiling and creating a new, 1.5 drop ceiling grid, 24 inches on center, and the fact that we're not having to cover the whole surface area with these panels, typically, 60, 70%, even slightly lower in some areas, we're able to create all these raceways, and we're able to bring our 1.5 pre-insulated, total OD with the insulation on it, bring these lines into these buildings without having to drill virtually any holes through any of the framing. And, not to mention with most of the framing, typical framing, you can drill an 1.5-inch hole just about anywhere without having to talk to an engineer. But it allows you so much flexibility, and you know, to back up to the whole air transfer or the ATU units, you know, we're dealing with much lower CFM systems, which, you know, as you know, with like a, you know, typical forced air system, you need a whole different duct infrastructure, implement heating and cooling than you do with dehumidification and mechanical ventilation based on the CFM requirements. So we're able to do most of our air treatment in pretty much, you know, 90% of the cases with low CFM small duct, which is a huge benefit as well. But
cubic
essentially,
feet per minute, right? Cubic feet per minute is the acronym of CFM.
Correct. So when you're doing mechanical ventilation, dehumidification, you're dealing with fractions versus, you know, traditional or any forced air system. So that's these systems are these air treatment systems are very passive, not intended to be even noticeable in most conditions, but it does help a lot architecturally, especially the larger custom homes, vaulted ceilings, so on and so forth that you run into. But this dropping the ceiling, this 1.5 inches, gives a lot of flexibility for not just our trade, but other trades as well, electrician, low voltage, so on and so forth.
And in this photo here, you have the drop downs, and you're also showing the sprinkler heads. That is really incredible.
So that's another thing is with you know, depending on when we get involved, sometimes, you know, this product gets spec'd out by the engineer from the get-go. Sometimes we come in after because they're looking for a different solution based on several different reasons. But we can actually incorporate the sprinklers inside the panel by just drilling a, you know, 2 1/8-inch hole through pretty much virtually anywhere in this panel.
Yeah, in the picture there is like one sprinkler that is going through the panel. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And these panels don't have to, you get a panel layout from Messana, and they don't have to specifically go in that location. You're just trying to meet the square footage that they're spelling out, and that basically allows you to put these panels anywhere in that ceiling around sprinklers, lights, you know, speakers. A lot of times the reflective ceiling plan doesn't get updated at the same rate that this panel layout does, so you have to kind of work on the fly when you get there, and your only goal is to get that same amount of panel coverage in that room, however you have to.
That's $1 million answer you just gave, Ryan. Most systems are not flexible to the installer, and you brought it up on the front end that it is flexible because you already know the footage you have to fit, and you know the obstacles that pop up, and so you orientate it faster than the drawings will ever arrive, and it's done, and it's flexible, and it meets the needs. Brilliant.
You do an as-built and you call it a day, you know.
If I can add something very quick, one of the big advantage of installing the radiant surface on the ceiling, apart from allowing you to do both heating and cooling easier, is that we install the panel in a very late stage of the construction. So the electrical is done, the plumbing is done, insulation is there, and then we come and just before you do the drywall. And this is a major plus, because think of a radiant floor. You start with a floor, and then during the construction there are first of all the floor needs to go through all the phases, and then nails on the pipe, and then they want to move a wall, and so it can be problematic.
Love it.
But the later you come, the better it is, because everything is there and it's already wired, piped. So you just go at the very last minute, and the panel goes up very quick, and one system, heating and cooling. It's a very good solution. Also for retrofit. I mean, Ryan has done so many retrofit job. It's actually, you don't have to deal with the floor, steps, furniture. You just rip off the ceiling and put the panel.
So
very easy retrofit solution.
Yeah, you know, to me, change order is a 4-letter word, right? Especially today's day and age, we send autonomous, you know, spaceships to Mars and back with nobody on it, and we can't build something without a change order. Just as a really poor excuse. And I think my question with that is on a system like this is, I'd be willing to bet if you are incorporated into the process up front, like most builders should be doing when they plan out their entire system, this could all be a really seamless, smooth process. Now, I know that's not how it works. Ryan's like, yeah, I wish, but I know that's not how the world works, but it should be working that way because every other industry does it this way.
Yeah. And there's so much flexibility with this product.
Yeah.
And, you know, the fact that we don't have to, you know, even the rough end is flexible, the panel installation is flexible, you know, the controls are, you know, what they are, but there's no other system that you can just solve problems pretty much on the fly. You know, like I said, the reflective ceiling plant changes when someone snaps their fingers, and you're just not going to get, you're just going to have to figure it out when you get there. And there's no product that works easier on that regard. You know, it's just,
I love that. I think it's brilliant.
Last night, Dave and I were on a video call, and he showed me his calendar, and it tired me out. I thought my calendar tired me out. His calendar tired me out. But Dave, I'm telling you, the next time you're in California, and so guys, Dave does all these sort of on-site visits and big events for the modular industry. Next time you're out there, y'all got to get together, because this is perfect. The way you brought in the volumetric, Dave, perfect. And I know who you're thinking of.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, it's a big market if you're not focused on it by far. So let me ask you this before we get into these sensors, right? The control platform is it's a closed loop system. Is that correct?
Yes.
Right. And what's actually circulating? What's pumping the water? What's controlling the hot and cold of the water? Is that what we're about to look at here?
So just to try to sum up, Alessandro, maybe I can kind of do it quick. You know, a lot of the components, especially in California, they're pushing gas out, so everything is going electric, and pretty much almost every single job is outfitted with an air to water heat pump. We've gone through almost every manufacturer, but you know, we have the ones we like to use. But essentially, that's your heating and cooling source, and the fact that you have your radiant ceiling panel, and the only obstruction of your radiant heat or cold surface is your sheetrock. The supply temperatures required in comparison to like a radiant floor is pretty extreme. So like the maximum supply temperature in heating is like 100, and typically the maximum in cooling is about 47, 48.
Amazing.
So we're asking these heat pumps to work at their most optimal running performance. We're not asking for extreme 125 temperatures in the floor or a fan coil at 45 degrees. So it all translates back to the efficiency of the system because of the efficiency of how that heat pump is running to manage the heating and cooling of the building. So
does it matter where you live in the country? I mean, if I lived in the North Pole, would this still work for me when I think of heat pumps and temperature? Or
certainly, I mean, we cross paths with geothermal. I'm very versed in solar thermal. When integrating into domestic and radiant and all of the above. So there's several solutions to get a backup heat source, from the sun, so on and so forth. If we had it's just all about a design challenge. Whatever the load is of the building, whatever your environment is, you might need some supplementary hydronic fan coils, which we can control the fan speed from 0 to 100. So we have a lot more control over the actual fan speed of any air assistance. But if you have a room surrounded by glass, you might not be able to match that whole load through the radiant ceiling. So we might have supplementary, but much less supplementary air systems that we have 100% control over the fan speed versus the alternative.
The key is that it's all hydronic. So basically, we are all hydronic solution. So it's radiant, and then for specific extreme condition, you just add an hydronic fan coil, and it's just used as a supplement. So if the ceiling is not able to maintain, then you will kick in the coil.
We need to add a page to our plan sets. We already have M, we already have E, we already have P. We need an H page. We definitely need an H page. We were talking before the show what to call Ryan and what he does, but you're an MEPH specialist or an HMEP specialist. Let's put the H first. HMEP specialist. Done.
Yep.
It's in the books.
Yep.
Canada Day, you heard it first.
You're so correct, and this is what is making the introduction of this technology in the US much harder. Is because there is not a specialist trade that will install the system. So we have to train the installer, and it's so hard to find a good hydronic installer that have knowledge of cooling. And so yes,
we need the Ryan Austin masterclass, right? Line up, folks. You want to
I'm
learn?
going to be training. I'm going to be the trainer here pretty soon for everybody.
Well, absolutely. And the other thing is it adds to your project, right? So if for some reason the plan set doesn't come in and it doesn't have this on it, now you add it to it, and great. That's what we need, because what we don't need is loud, wasteful systems. We don't need them. Yeah. We don't want them, and we don't got to have them.
That's correct. All right. Walk us through, Sal. What do we got here?
Nice. So here are the M-Sense room comfort sensors, and these are going to be what monitors everything around the house. So you'll have one in each zone, whether that be, a room or like the dining room next to the kitchen. Just one in every zone, mounted at head height. They sit pretty flush against the wall. The only part that would stick out is just there's a small portion for air to pass through. And we do that. That's how we monitor operative temperature, relative humidity, and volatile organic compounds, so indoor air quality. But from those first two factors, we can monitor the dew point of every zone, and that's how we can make sure we can provide radiant cooling without the risk of condensation. We just monitor the dew point and keep the radiant surface higher than that dew point temperature.
I want to also add that it's gorgeous, right? I've looked at thermostats on walls my entire life, and I love renovations because I hit them with my hammer because they're ugly pieces of garbage. This thing's beautiful. I want one just to look at.
He'll sleep with it. He'll put it on his pillow next to his head.
We say, okay, what would be the best object to put on the wall? And my answer was the one that is invisible. We need to hide it, and we need to avoid to have any sort of user interface or interaction. My idea is that if the system is smart and comfortable enough, you forget about having a conditioning system. We don't want you to go and change 72, 73. This is old technology. This is the air conditioning system that will never satisfy your needs. Is because it's based on air, and our body measure radiation. So how can you satisfy a body that has comfort sensor, as heat sensor that will never be satisfied by blowing air?
I can't wait for Dave to do his next modular home tour, and he's going to be looking around on the walls. He's like, "Where's your M-Sense, guys? Where's your M-Sense?"
Right.
My favorite slide by far.
The system, it's so important for us to measure, what Saul say, the dew point and the VOC, and we do a little bit different on the temperature. So we don't measure the air temperature, but we measure the operative temperature. So there is this there is like a metal ring here that receives the thermal radiation and gives you an idea of the thermal temperature. So which is closer to what our sensor in the skin measure.
Perfect. So this is a small version of us, only smarter.
Yep. There you go. So,
Yeah.
all right, Sal, keep walking us through here.
Sounds great. Yeah, here we have our control platform. These are the new controls we've just released this year. So on the left, you'll see the MBox 5. And so these are both meant for small to medium-sized residential projects. So the the MBox 5 can manage up to 5 zones, while the MBox 10 can manage up to 10 zones. And those are going to be able to manage, your radiant ceiling as well as your fan coils, radiant floor. And like I said before, some VRF systems. But yeah, they all interface there. And then these are going to come with a configuration wizard tool to make things easy on the installers. All they do is navigate a set of predefined pages, input the system parameters, and then a wiring diagram is output at the end and instructions, just to make life easier on our installers.
So if you guys later on go back to LinkedIn in the comments, you're going to find Andrew is doing projects in Texas. Matt is doing projects in Illinois. Buzz is doing projects in Michigan. Greg and his team are doing projects in Connecticut and New England, right? Like,
and Andrew Wilkinson's doing it in England.
What's that?
Andrew Wilkinson's in England.
Oh, the other Andrew, right? Yeah,
right.
Andrew Wilkinson is England. So perfect. Reach out to those folks, and I'm sure they'll be reaching out to you guys. Beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah. Excellent.
We need those folks. We need people to embrace hydronic technologies and help us developing better heating and cooling solutions.
Awesome.
For sure. Sal, you got some more there. We just have another minute or so here. If you got something we want to get through, let's bolt through them.
What's next, Alessandro?
Yeah, there are some. We have a few example of installations.
Okay. Pittsburgh. Now you're talking Dave's language.
Yeah. So this is Chatham University, and they actually have a sustainability school at that university.
Yep.
And so for their dorms, they use our radiant system as well as our controls. It's actually the buildings that you see on the top left corner. There's actually only one building right there right now. This is just art. They're going to build another, and so we'll be in there too. But yeah, we recently went out and did a whole controls upgrade because they were on our older controls. This is the Armani Museum in Italy. Very nice project. And if you go to the next slide, Alessandro, it shows our commercial option, the ceiling tiles. So that's what you see right there.
Very cool. Slick. Very slick.
Yeah.
If Armani's using it, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have some new distributors in New Zealand who have been doing a really great job. This is what we were showing before. We were showing their installation. And they actually made these hanging ceiling islands. And so that's what you see. So not completely in the ceiling, but they're hanging. And those are panels behind there.
Yeah, they used it as a design form interest, right?
Yeah.
And when people can use the technology that's bringing the comfort as an attribute and a visual accent,
That's right.
now it's playful for the design community because they don't understand HMEP. So they don't need to. You do. Look at this one, Dave.
And then same people here in New Zealand. This is one of their homes, and they did a great job on this installation. Beautiful home. And you could see they really met their load requirements and put panels where they could.
Yeah.
So Ryan, do you fly over the world putting these in, or do you stay in California?
No, I mean my whole 12 plus years of experience have been from SoCal to San Francisco, but recently knowing the importance of more so spreading the word, training contractors, getting them on board so they're comfortable with not just installing but bidding these projects. I've been more so involved on Messana's end in that regard, and just being there, answering any questions that the installer might have, telling them how to work with other trades, just telling them everything, downloading any and all knowledge I've had from since this product evolved from the first wave, and I've been through it all, so I know when it's important to get in, when who you need to work with, how things go smooth and how things can go wrong. So that's kind of been my biggest thing that I brought into, I think, both companies, and just being that I've been with this product longer than anybody, it probably best be me to help push this technology along in that regard as well.
Love that. Beautiful.
All right, we're about wrapped up here. We got a quick question from the man, the myth, and the legend, Greg Ugaldi. immediate past chairman of the NAHB. And I just tell you guys, you got to connect with Greg. This is the guy that updates the president of the United States 3 times a week in housing. He is the big fish in the big pond in Washington, D.C., and he's a big advocate for our show, and we love him. Did they do work at Carnegie Mellon U in Pitt? What's his question?
Pitt would be Pittsburgh.
Yeah, University of Pittsburgh, Carnegie Mellon.
No, I don't think we. I don't think we did. I would
say not yet, but you're ready.
That's the right question. I don't know if they already chosen their technology, but I'm not aware of this project actually. But I'm not sure though, because there is quite a bit that we have in the pipeline right now.
So that school that you did though in Pittsburgh, let's follow up with Dave and Jennifer, because you guys going to that school and the different education they bring is wonderful. You just saw the comment below from Matt Bloomquist is doing a high performance home, and his students do it. So the high school students.
Oh, that's awesome. We actually did something similar in Santa Clara University, and actually together we built the house. The student built the house, and then with that house they participate to they call it the solar decathlon, and it's all university from all the world building a house to make it net zero. And actually, Santa Clara University won the first prize with our technology and at the solar decathlon.
So was like everyone involved in the solar decathlon, if you don't have HMEP, you're not going to win. This is your ticket.
Yeah.
Total solution.
Love it. All right. Well, listen. How awesome was this show, Mark? I think we need to definitely talk offline. I see a lot of uses out there. This would solve a lot of problems in the world that I play in globally. So I want to talk a little bit more as well. Mark, I don't even know what to say, man. No more AC condensers outside with all that nasty stuff you got to put in them to keep it cold.
You got M-Sense, right? The sexiest, coolest thing on the planet. Everyone connect with these guys. You met their personalities. You heard their brain. You already love the product, so connect with them. Dave and I are glad to do this on Canada Day, and we wish everyone a wonderful Independence Day weekend.
You as well. Thank you for the time.
Yeah, you're very welcome. All right, Listen, everybody, if you are not following Messana, you need to go there and follow them. If you're not following Alessandro, Sal, and Ryan, you need to follow them on their channels. And if you're not following Dave Cooper Live and BS Friday, you need to go subscribe to our channel right now, because we're always bringing you the latest and greatest in technology and how do we build it better. # build it better. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back to you right after the outro. And the rest of you, the next time you see me, I will probably be in Virginia Beach. So we'll see you in a few days. All right. Bye now.
Thank you.